This might very well be the most arbitrary of arbitrary videos I've ever made. What I mean is, I might say a ranking in this video, or I might have a rhyme or reason for what I say, but truly, it doesn't matter, because this entire series was awesome. For all things Halloween, this is hauntformer, and it is with great pleasure that today I discuss with all of you patient and kind folks the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared series. Now, a couple disclaimers. First of all, you might be wondering, how did I watch this? I'm not based in the UK, and the simple, honest-to-goodness truth is, it leaked on YouTube. Now, I do have a qualm with this, and my biggest concern is that the creators, Becky and Joe, and all of the awesome folks who made this, will not get the, I don't know if it's the recognition or the financial support or what have you from these leaks. I was too curious. I haven't seen any updates about when it's going to be available in the US, and I had to see it. I've been waiting like 10 years for this. So, yes, I watched the leaked videos on YouTube, but if the creators are watching this, they aren't, but if they stumble across this video, I would love to support their efforts in any other way, buying a DVD of the show or merch or what have you. I want to support this series because it might be the best series I've seen of the year so far, and that's saying a lot because there have been some pretty good horror shows out there. Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared really stole this season for me. I have just been entranced and in love with the show, with the music, with the characters coming back. There's a whole backstory to this, but in simple terms, the YouTube series Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared lasted 6 episodes, as you probably know and love them. And they started this development working with the Conan O'Brien producers and production team to come up with this show based around a town called Clay Hill, where the 3 characters would be incorporated into a type of community setting. But they had a pilot done. I've seen some of the little leaked videos of the pilot episode, but largely it was completely scrapped to make way for this new series that is what we all are talking about today. The series is a lot different than that pilot episode in that, as opposed to having this big, giant set and all these characters, it takes things simple and brings it right back to those 3 in their house being taught various life lessons. And you might say, wouldn't you want something different? And I suppose the answer is yes. I do suppose we get some differences in this show, more character development, if you want to call it development, because it seems like things get reset at the ending of each episode, which is something to talk about. But you get more of the characters, you get a lot more laughs, and you get a lot more chance for the themes of the episodes to be explored. You get more emphasis on the teachers, as opposed to having 1 musical number, you get 2, or sometimes 3. It's awesome. It's great. And there's so much to talk about with this show. I may have to do a deep dive in my podcast or something. And there's a joke to be made about podcasts with the Eagle. Wow, there's a lot I can say. But basically, this video is going to arbitrarily rank these 6 episodes of this season or series or whatever you want to call it. And hopefully it is the first season of many, because I am here for it. But let me just say, in case you naysayers want to say, what's he gonna put at number 6, or what's he gonna put at number 1? The ranking for me doesn't really matter. This is a way for me to express my thoughts on the series. Each of these episodes I thought was fantastic and really well done. There are maybe minor preferences that I prefer in each one, but it's not like saying one is bad and one's really good. They're all great. It's just, it's YouTube. I had to do a ranking because that's what you guys like. So, without further ado, let's start off with my least favorite of the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared episodes.
You can take a few steps with your legs, but you won't get very far.
Episode 5, Transportation. I was originally going to give my least favorite spot to Episode 4, Friendship, but I don't know. That one really grew on me. I think the worm... Eagle. really got to me. I like that episode a bit more now, so I'm kind of predicting my own video here. But the transportation episode involves this choo-choo train teacher that turns into a car and a boat and a bus and all this stuff. And he's like dying throughout the entire episode. He keeps coming back to life. And this is the like only time that we've seen these characters really go far beyond where they live. They actually get to travel somewhere. And I should have started this with a spoiler warning, but spoilers are imminent, obviously, for a ranking video where I can get into the nitty-gritty details of this show. But in this episode, we see these three characters, the puppets, if you want to call them that, go to our world, the real world, only for at the very end, for them to be brought back by Leslie, who is this mysterious force that I'll talk about in a bit. But you have the three puppets traveling in a car, and you get to see their little shenanigans in the car, and you also get somewhat of a backstory for the yellow guy in what is a very disturbing segment of this episode. I didn't find the episode entirely that creepy as opposed to a lot of the other ones. I suppose my next discussed episode, episode 4, spoilers, also isn't super disturbing. But the sound, I can't even talk. The song is excellent. The choice of the music is fantastic. The teacher is really creepy. You get that dynamic of these characters even while they're in the car. You get more about the television show that they watch. It's the Wallace and Gromit knockoff, or you know what it is. Yeah, that one. You get all of this good, juicy stuff in this episode. So again, while I placed it at my least favorite, I really do quite like it.
Okay, don't talk over it. Once upon a time there was a guy that I knew, and he had a group of best friends, it's true.
In 5th place, we have episode 4, Friendship, where we get to talk about my friend the worm, Eagle. This episode at first was my least favorite, and it was largely due to, like, it didn't feel as timeless as a lot of the other ones. It deals with technology and podcasters and toxic friendships and stuff, but it had a lot to say, and it did it in a really clever and funny way. We get, of course, the computer character back. We get to see what the puppets are interested in when browsing the internet, and that means the duck wants to see that skeleton. But I don't know, this one felt a lot more playful with its concepts, and the animation sequences are really quite nice. There are a lot of great sequences throughout this series that are not in the traditional style of the three puppets on a set. You get to see stop motion and animation and CG and all this really cool stuff. It's really great. The music in this episode wasn't as strong, I could probably say. However, it made up for it in the very funny gags, the funny teacher, and a pretty solid message about toxic friendships. Toxic friendships and relationships that are maybe not wanted or not mutual between people.
Does family mean to me and my family?
In 4th place, again, not that these really matter, but we have family. This episode was by far the scariest and freakiest of the entire season, but to me, the top 3 that I'm going to talk about give us more about the puppets and their dynamics, whereas this episode kind of shifts focus and talks about a different family and the two teachers who honestly are really disturbing to look at, the way their eyes move and all of this stuff. They're these two twins who have these really weird talking voice. I can't even do it. Voice acting is phenomenal in the show, by the way. But it all builds up to this really creepy ending where they get the Gralton's family feast of, like, chicken. And they all, like, open up their mouths and start eating it, and it's really creepy. Aside from that, though, you get some insights into the mindsets of the characters. All 3 of them, really, but namely the red guy, whom we learn has been longing for a family. I don't know if that's going to come back up in a future season, perhaps. We also get a song by the duck of how he doesn't want a family, yet winds up lonely. And we get more with the yellow guy turning into a mother by the end of the episode, and also dealing with Roy, who's back, his father. And we learn that Roy is a cannibal, maybe? I don't know how the continuity works in a lot of these episodes. All I know is that they're all a lot of fun to watch, and this one was really creepy to see play out. I also really want to try chottle dollops. I don't know what they are. I don't think they're actually real, but they sound good. They sound really good, even if you get like 2 in the bag. I want them!
Or you could be the one who kicks so hard at a football, it's a goal. Or you could be the one who bangs the hammer when he's angry. Order.
In third place, we have the Jobs episode, the pilot episode. This one's fantastic. So many great musical numbers, the stress song, the Jobs song, and honestly, someone who's been in the workforce for not that long. I'm a younger guy. I've probably worked maybe T-minus less than 10 years or so in the workforce, but you already can see exactly what this episode is trying to target about workplaces and how people work and get on the grind for their entire life only for it to barely pay off in the end with money. And you can see how that backfires for our dear old friend the duck. I like how the show just doesn't hesitate to get you right back in the feel of the web series. Doesn't need to set up anything extraneous. It just goes right into getting to the heart of what we love. You get really funny moments, really shocking moments, and that powerful message. It is a great pilot episode with a lot to say, and I do not wish to talk to the Care Hound.
That's right, and you have to agree. Now your brains all go about electricity.
In second place, this was hard. These last 2 were really tough. But in second place, I'm going to give it to the electricity episode, the finale episode. I wanted to give this first place, but there's one that I like a little bit better, maybe. I don't know. Like I said, these are all kind of really close. But I absolutely adored this episode. The existential crisis that happens at the very end of this is just nuts. When you see the yellow guy shredding that book, who knows what was in it, but what it symbolized, the knowledge and importance that it had from Leslie, was just so monumental. This episode also sets up that these characters are in fact on some kind of set, on some kind of show. They have replacements, that Leslie, kind of the overseer of the entire thing, how she operates and how this episode formula plays out, how they're able to come back after seemingly dying all the time. It raises a lot of questions, maybe more so than answers, but they're good questions, and they're cryptic and mysterious, just as Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared should be. I also love how we get an emphasis on the yellow guy, who's probably my favorite of the puppet characters, and we see a look into his mind when it's at its freshest, when he has his fresh batteries in, because to me, this episode is kind of about electricity and about technology, but more so about the pursuit of knowledge and wisdom. Yet also, I think technology plays a role in that, in suggesting that we're so consumed by just Googling answers that we have all the information, but we have none of the wisdom that comes from it. So there's a lot to be said here, but the episode is very fun, has some catchy songs in it, and plays out in a really strange and bizarre way. It's unique and stands apart from all of the other ones, and that's why it's one of my favorites. However, in terms of my absolute favorite, I think I have to give it to...
A lot of work. We gotta get things ready for the big day, big day. We gotta get things ready for the special day.
Episode 2, Death. I don't know if there's a particular reason I can pinpoint as to why this episode's my favorite. I think it just has a very foreboding, creeping atmosphere to it. And you really are in the house for a large portion of the episode with the characters. You get to learn about each of these characters, how they grieve, how they respond to one another emotionally. And I don't know, I just really liked it. It felt like maybe the most like the web series, just kind of elongated. I mean, that's what these all essentially are, but this one more so than the rest. It also targets a really important lesson about grieving, about moving on, accepting death, and it's something that's hard for a lot of people, myself included. The coffin teacher is very creepy. I wouldn't say he's the scariest or maybe the most effective of the teachers, but I do quite like him. I like how he kind of just comes out of the ground with this really weird claymation animation. It's fantastic. And this episode also sprinkled in a lot of that humor that I've loved throughout this entire series. And because of that, I cannot wait for a future season, a future installment, another series. I don't know what these creators have in store for us, but I am there for it. There you have it, my ranking of the Don't Hug Me I'm Scared series, though really this is just my love letter to the show and telling you to get out there and watch it however you can. If I can find it, again, I'll try to put a link or a URL or something where you could actually purchase or watch the show or go on a streaming service, or I don't know how it's going to be available in the US, but it's awesome. Definitely worth the watch. And for Don't Hug Me I'm Scared fans, how did you enjoy the series? Were you disappointed? I assume not. Were you excited about it? Were you waiting as long as I have been? Let me know in the comments below. And thank you again for watching. Remember, for all things Halloween, this is...
Okay, stop.